Maseru Bridge, Fixback, which are the ports where we are now, they are also included in the process. We do expect a bit of high volumes in terms of people movement in particular, primarily because we have now completely moved out of COVID. I think in terms of, I would say, the previous year, we're able to catch up in terms of the pre-COVID numbers, and now we believe that will be very much a bit away from those numbers.
There's still issue of numbers, staff capacity, that we tend to see the pedestrian crossing mixing with the driver's section, causing quite a delay. Do you think it's something that can be sorted out, that can be looked in as we approach?
You see, the issue of capacity is one of the fundamental ones. I think you are aware, for instance, that BMA is operating at around 25% capacity, because we are having around 2,600 people. Yet, in terms of our structure, we are supposed to be having around 11,200. So we have a vacancy rate of around 8,000, and that is basically where we are. However, there has been some bit of promise, particularly from the Treasury, in terms of giving us some bit of additional resources, in terms of financial, for us to be able to bring more capacity. So that is one problem that is almost everywhere. I mean, Maseru Bridge, I know that there has been more issues. So what we basically do in those instances, we try to even get colleagues to come and work overtime, so that they can be able to complement, the ones that are actually on duty. So those are some of the things that we actually do to be able to deal with the situation. But now, because we are going to festive season and all ports actually becomes busy, it becomes very difficult. But what we do, or what we have done, for example, in OR Tambo, we are actually trying to get some additional capacity from Gauteng government. In the Western Cape, we also get some capacity from Gauteng. So those are some of the other measures that we are putting on the table to be able to deal with the issues.
And finally, the issue of the passport stamp. Everyone is crying, especially for frequent travelers. Do you think there is a mechanism that can be used? The cost of producing a passport is astronomical, and if I go through a Mexi passport in 1 year, I'm sure have you checked on modalities to work around that?
Yeah, you see the issue of the passports, I mean the stamps. Let me start by saying the issue of us having to retire the old stamps was very much necessary, primarily because the stamps were very much basic, and they were literally, people would buy them in bookshops. They will stamp people's passports for a fee and all of that. So that was creating a lot of problems. When we engaged our colleagues from the government printing works, where we actually asked them to help us to develop a stamp, because of the security features that they had to put in, it had to become a bit bigger. Instead of making it to be just 4 corners, we make it a hexagon in a way. And we're trying to make it to be complicated and not easy to duplicate. So, but unfortunately, because of that hexagon nature of it is a bit big. So we have already received some complaints. Even the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Schreiber, did receive those complaints to say these stamps are big and it's a bit of a problem, because when they have to, the frequent travelers, the passport get full quicker and it becomes a problem. So what is now happening is the Department of Home Affairs, because they are the custodian of policy, they are actually in engagement. We are part of those conversations, and they are looking at a mechanism where we can have some possible concession where we might not necessarily want to be stamping on a daily basis the frequent travelers. We can stamp them, for example, in a particular day, and we jump other days until then they come back, and then when they come back again, so that we can try to manage the situation until we have, what you will call the bringing in of the electronic mechanism. Because remember, once we implement fully facial recognition, we will no longer be doing passport stamping. And those are the plans that we actually have as we speak. As we speak now, there is also some bit of work around that on its own. We have started some bit of work in Joburg, in OR Tambo, bit of work in Cape Town, and the intention is to roll it out as we go forward. So those are some of the fundamental issues we are looking at. So this will be resolved as we go forward. For now, people must just kind of survive.